For my Arduino project, I decided to create a switch for my students with disabilities that would allow them to see visually whether they were answering questions and responses correctly or incorrectly, or on the right track or the wrong track. In order to do this, I decided to create a simple switch using alligator cables. A switch is basically two pieces of conductive material that are sometimes pressed together and sometimes kept apart. The switch is closed when the conductors are pressed together and open when the conductors are separated. The only components that were required for this project were the LilyPad Arduino board, alligator clips, and a red and green LED light. Initially, I connected the LilyPad Arduino board to the computer in order to upload the code that I created for this project. I compiled the code and loaded it onto the LilyPad. I did this by hitting the upload button in the Arduino window and uploaded successfully to the LilyPad board. In order to test the code, I closed the switch to see what would happen. The LED light should have come on, and it did, so I knew that the code was functioning properly. The code I used declares the switch button pin on 9 and declares the switch value variable where the status of on and off will be kept. The void setup is initializing the components being used with the function pin mode. LED red in pin 5 is the output, LED green in pin 6 is also an output, while button pin in pin 9 is an input, and the digital write function sets the button to a default status high. The setup function runs once when you press reset or the power board. The loop function runs over and over again forever. The void loop is continuous and runs forever. There is an if and else conditional that checks the switch status. If the switch is set on high or on, it turns green. Else, if low, turn it red. I utilize this switch in my special day classroom with my students with disabilities. We use the switch to give visual feedback to students on whether or not they were on the right track or answering questions correctly. The green light would appear when students were on the right track or correct, while the red light would signal to them that they weren't on the right track or responding in an incorrect manner. The switch was definitely effective in the classroom and continues to be. Students seem to respond in a far more positive manner to the light than to an individual teacher or adult or peer in the classroom that's giving feedback that may be negative in manner. The project has been so popular in my classroom that we've decided to order more kits for the students to use, where we will create different switches for partners and group tables where we can continue to use the Arduinos in this type of setting while hopefully creating additional useful projects for our classroom.